Moments away from kickoff at Hard Rock Stadium in South Florida, and today's game is being broadcast in Spanish where available using the SAP button on your television. Buffalo won the toss. They have elected to defer, so Stephen Hauschka will kick it away for the Bills. Back deep, Jakeem Grant. Week 17 of the NFL on CBS, and we're underway from South Florida. Sonoris Perry takes a knee. And out comes Jay Cutler, playing in what potentially could be the final game of his career. This season, 19 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, and 3 of those picks came 2 weeks ago up in Buffalo. Look at the starting offensive line, the big change at left tackle. Laramie Tunsil out with an ankle injury. Zach Stirrup, who's played 4 offensive snaps his entire career, gets the start at left tackle, and Kenyon Drake is the running back. On first down, they give it to Drake, and Drake is hit in the backfield and dropped. It was Matt Milano coming into the backfield to bring down Drake. Now look at that Buffalo starting defense with Kyle Williams, now in his 12th year out of LSU, trying to get to the playoffs for the first time. Preston Brown, second in the NFL in tackles this year. And E.J. Gaines did not play last week because of a knee injury. He's back in there today. Sharice Wright is out with a concussion. Miami lost 3 on first down, 2nd and 13. Cutler throws and completes it to Parker, and tripped up by Tre'Davious White on the play. Leonard Johnson finishes him off, and it's 3rd down.
We saw that short pass there on 2nd down, and so much of Miami's run game is also their short passing game. We talked about Jarvis Landry in our open with 103 receptions. Well, a lot of those are just extended handoffs where he's so close to the quarterback, they can throw him the ball and they can move it down the field.
Miami, part of their problem this year, last in the NFL on 3rd downs, converting at just 31%. It's 3rd and 7. With 2 on the play clock. Cutler rolling left, throws on the run, and it's nearly intercepted. E.J. Gaines had both hands on it but could not bring it in. But it is still a 3 and out for Miami on their first offensive possession.
You mentioned Kyle Williams early. We talked to him, and he talked about moving Cutler off his spot. That time you saw the pass rush forcing Cutler out of the pocket, and then an ill-advised throw. Cutler loves his arm. You love it when he completes it to the Dolphins, but when it goes to the Buffalo Bills, you don't love it as much.
Brandon Tate back deep to receive the punt. He calls for a fair catch, lets it bounce at the 34, and goes out of bounds at the 26-yard line. A 46-yard punt, and out comes Tyrod Taylor. On the season, Tyrod with 2,500 passing yards, and on the ground 4 rushing touchdowns. And how about his numbers all time against the Dolphins? 9 touchdowns, no interceptions for Tyrod Taylor. Richie Incognito, the former Dolphin, going to the Pro Bowl for the 3rd time in 3 years with the Bills. And another former Dolphin to keep an eye out today, Charles Clay on first down. LaShawn McCoy, left side, tough sledding. And McCoy tackled right at the line of scrimmage. Chase Allen, Lawrence Timmons on the stop. Here's a look at that Miami defense. And Ndamukong Suh is 99th consecutive start, most among active defensive tackles. Kiko Alonso, the former Bill, starting at linebacker, and Rashad Jones going to the Pro Bowl for the 2nd time in his career at safety. McCoy goes in motion on 2nd down and 10. Taylor gets rid of it and completes it to McCoy, who slips a tackle. LaShawn McCoy still going at the 45 and out of bounds. An 18-yard pickup for McCoy, and the Bills with a 1st down.
I talked to McCoy's running back coach, Kelly Skipper, before the game. I said, is LaShawn the best running back you've ever had? He said, yes, but more importantly, he's the biggest playmaker that I've ever had at running back. And we can see the things he's able to do. You see the 10,000 yards, 1 of 5 players with over 13,000 yards from the line of scrimmage. That element in the run game, the broken field running, that's what makes him so special.
His team-leading 58th catch of the year, as this pass by Taylor is incomplete, looking for Kelvin Benjamin.
Now, that was a little bit of a throwaway. Kelvin Benjamin in tight coverage. But with Kelvin Benjamin, if you've been with him for a long time, he's so big, he's so physical. You throw him that 50-50 ball. You throw it up high where he can get to it, where the defensive back can't. You didn't need to throw that one away if you were Tyrod Taylor. Give Kelvin Benjamin a chance to be the most physical guy and come up with that ball.
Marcus Murphy, just off the practice squad this week, is in at running back for the Bills. They hand it off to Murphy. Trying to get around the edge on the left side and shot down at the 48-yard line by Rashad Jones. Marcus Murphy, and we met with Tyrod Taylor, and he said he's a downhill runner, 5'9", 195 pounds. That was just the second carry of his career, now in his third season out of Missouri. And it brings up third down and long for the Bills. They are 7th in the NFL on third downs this season, converting at a 41% clip. Taylor over the middle, and that is caught by Deontay Thompson for a first down. He slipped to the ground as he made the play, but it's a pickup of 13.
5-man pressure, trying to come after Tyrod Taylor, but that fifth guy has to be a little bit of a spy because you don't want Tyrod Taylor to break the pocket. He's so effective running, so that fifth guy's coming in. He's coming in a little slowly, and he has Tyrod Taylor in his sights, and that time Tyrod Taylor had the offensive receiver in his sights down the field.
Thompson was a question mark today, injured during a drill in Thursday's practice into his shoulder and back. As Tyrod Taylor completes this to Clay along the far side and shoved out of bounds by Alonso. But a pickup of 8 for the former Dolphin tight end, Charles Clay.
Remember when we talked to Tyrod Taylor about, this is about jab and hook, moving the Dolphins from side to side, because those big defensive tackles, you make them run out of bounds on one side, make them run to the other side. Now they're a little gassed.
And movement on the line. Today's referee is Jeff Triplett.
Neutral zone infraction, number 98, defense. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
That's on Gabe Wright, who was called up off the Miami practice squad this week, playing in his first game as a Dolphin for defensive coordinator Matt Burke.
And when you get a little gassed, you make those mental errors, and jumping off sides is a mental error. Yeah, the quarterback can use his voice inflection, but your defensive lineman, you watch that football. When that ball moves, you move.
It gives the Bills a first down.
What is that?
Play fake. Taylor looking to the end zone. Wide open is O'Leary for the touchdown. Nick O'Leary with his second touchdown of the season. And the Bills on the board first. They lead it 6-0. And his grandfather, Jack Nicklaus, in attendance today. High fives for everyone all around in their Bills gear here in Hard Rock Stadium.
Great job by the Buffalo Bills, because when you run a bootleg, it's cross, cross. You do that, but Nick O'Leary goes the opposite direction after he started to cross. So offensive coordinators, they stay up late at night, and sometimes they come up with the craziest looking plays. That time, Rick Dennison, that was a beautiful design out of that play.
Jack Nicklaus has a number 84 on the side of the Bills hat he's wearing. That's the number of his grandson.
He couldn't get a number 80 Lofton hat anymore. Those aren't in production.
Could have 18 on there, number of major championships he's won. How about Hauschka? Very low, but it scoots through. 10:14 to go, opening quarter. And the Buffalo Bills lead it 7-0. Taylor to O'Leary. And Jack is loving it in South Florida. Nick O'Leary with his second touchdown of the season, second of his career, and some good news for the Bills already with Cincinnati out to an early 7-0 lead on the Ravens. If the Bills win and the Bengals beat the Ravens, the Bills are in the playoffs for the first time since 1999. Hauschka will kick it away again to Grant and Perry back deep for Miami.
Do you think Hauschka mishit that ball because he had Jack Nicklaus watching him?
It's like a low cutter that Jack would play. This is a little more arc on this kick. It's a touchback. And how about this? Adam Gase told us, hey, you might see David Fales play in this game. Well, how about on the second drive? Miami turns to its backup quarterback today. Adam Gase said he wanted to get a look at David Fales with the first team around him. All the practice time, Fales has been on the scout team going against the first team defense, but with the second string offense, Adam Gase likes David Fales. He was with him in Chicago in 2015, so a huge opportunity here for Fales, throwing on first down and completes it to Jarvis Landry for a gain of 10. Just the third NFL game for Fales in his third year out of San Jose State.
And after the play was over, the defensive linemen and the linebackers from the Buffalo Bills are kind of looking at, okay, who was that? That's not Jay Cutler back there. So there's no book that they have on David Fales. They don't know how mobile he is, what he's going to do. This is a blank slate for the defense right now.
Coming into today, just 2 of 6 in his career for 22 yards. And this is Drake breaking some tackles and breaking free into Buffalo territory. Kenyon Drake continues to impress. 32 yards for number 32.
When you watch Kenyon Drake on film, you have to have great gap integrity. If you leave a gap, he has the speed and the strength to burst through it. The Buffalo Bills witnessed this the last time they played against him. It's a big runs in, and here's a little bit of a mini backbreaker because after the touchdown, you want to go out and play solid defense. Right now, there's some holes in the Buffalo Bills defense.
Last 4 weeks, he's got the 4th most rushing yards in the NFL.
5-2. 5-8. Here we go.
Play clock at 1. A flag comes in. Fales taking a shot deep down the field. Incomplete. Was looking for Kenny Stills, but there is a penalty.
Yeah, the running back never got reset after he went up to help Fales out with the call. Fales called 58 as opposed to 52 when he was identifying the mic.
Number 32, offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Well, Adam Gase told us that Drake has proven he can handle a bigger load next year. He gives us a lot of confidence going into 2018.
I would love to have one of those heart rate monitors right now on David Fales.
5-2.
It might explode if you put it on him.
And another flag. This is going to be a false start against Miami.
False start. Number 62, offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Entering today, Miami had 41 pre-snap penalties, tied for the 3rd most in the NFL.
But just remember, it's like, yes, David Fales is speaking the same language as Jay Cutler, but a little bit different in just the cadence, how quickly they get from set to hut, different things like that could throw an offensive lineman off.
First false start against Ted Larson this year. And a one-handed grab by Landry. He's got incredible hands. In fact, I stopped shaking hands with Jarvis Landry when we meet with him because it actually hurts when he shakes your hand.
Well, he's got strong hands. You can witness that. And the short passing game, you have to be a good runner after the catch. And the one thing that I really enjoy about watching Jarvis Landry is how quickly he goes from being in the catch mode to being in the run mode. That transition is almost instantaneous for Jarvis Landry.
A chance to lead the NFL in catches. He would just be the second Dolphin to do that. O.J. McDuffie led the NFL back in 1998. Fales throwing right and completes it to Stills. Dragged down by Tre'Davious White, but a pickup of 10 yards.
You always hear guys talk about this when quarterbacks at the combine, oh, he can make all the throws. Well, that's one of the throws right there, being on the far hash and throwing the out route to the far numbers to the sideline. So we've seen that from David Fales. We've seen a deep ball. We've seen balls over the middle. So he can make all those throws. He did them while he was at San Jose State, but it's been a while since he's had that live game action.
3rd and 7. Fales has started 3 out of 3. Looking to keep it going. Pressure coming. Jerry Hughes whiffed and fails, gets rid of it, but it's incomplete. Oh, Jerry Hughes had a golden chance for the sack. Instead, it'll go as an incomplete pass. It's 4th and 7. And we asked Adam Gase if he's likely to go for it a little bit more on 4th down. He said yes, and he's keeping the offense out on the field for this 4th down play.
Because he said if I can get to that 4th and 5, 4th and 6, well, this is 4th and 7, so this is close enough, and maybe this is on the outside range of that field goal that he would like to attempt right now.
Miami, 28% on 4th downs this season. Fails, and that's caught by Parker, and with that spot, it looks like they're going to give him a 1st down. Micah Hyde makes the tackle right at the chains, but it appears to be just good enough, and it is for a 1st down.
A really nice awareness by Parker, because catches the ball, he could have made another dip underneath the defenders, but he realizes, hey, I'm pretty close to the 1st down. I can just get it if I lean forward. I'm Sean McDermott. I'm thinking, that was awfully close. And that hand is on the red flag, but he hasn't gotten the word from upstairs yet.
So the Dolphins pick up the conversion on 4th down. Now 1st and 10. Fails, looking for more, end zone, incomplete. The target was A.J. Derby, playing in his 2nd game for the Dolphins. Matt Milano had good coverage, the rookie out of Boston College. You can see Miami. They have thrown the ball 63% of their plays this year, 2nd most in the NFL, 2nd to the New York Giants. And meanwhile, Buffalo runs the ball 48% of the time, which is 3rd most in the NFL. 8th play of the drive for David Fales. Handed off to Drake. Drake, with a late flag coming in from the secondary, picks up a couple of yards. 6:33 to go in the opening quarter.
Eagle block in the back. Offense, number 19. 10-yard penalty. Repeat 2nd down.
That's on Jakeem Grant. It's certainly something the Dolphins will have to look at in the offseason. They had the 2nd most penalties in the league last year, and again this season, the 2nd most in the NFL.
You know, you have pre-snap penalties, the offense lining up illegally, a little bit of illegal motion. That's an effort penalty. Jakeem Grant is trying to make a block, but what he has to do, he has to be smart enough that once he starts that block and he misses the guy, not to go shove him in the back once he can read his number.
Already their 3rd penalty of the opening quarter. It pushes the ball back to the 31-yard line. They pitch it to Drake. Drake at the 25 and hit hard, but still on his feet, and now down at the 20.
There is a suddenness about Drake when he sticks his foot in the ground, which all running backs do, but he sticks his foot in the ground, and then there's some magic that happens because he can burst through a hole, and he has the vision to see that hole kind of develop. As you're running wide, the hole isn't really apparent, but when you stick your foot in the ground, guys overrun, and he went straight through that hole.
An 11-yard pickup, but because of the penalties, it's 3rd and 8. Bales fires, completes it to Landry. Landry looking for the sticks, but he's shoved out of bounds at the 15-yard line. He's 2 yards shy of a 1st down, and once again, Adam Gase is keeping the offense on the field.
Dolphin fans have to be loving this because you would actually like your team to play this way the entire season. You know, there are a couple of high schools around the country, they don't punt the ball. And when they do score a touchdown, they go out and they kick an onside kick. Now, in the NFL, if you try that as a head coach, you might be on a short leash.
2nd time on this drive. Miami goes for it on 4th down. It's 4th and 3. Fails. And it's broken up. Leonard Johnson gets a hand on that one. And the drive stalls for the Dolphins as the Bills hold on 4th down. A long drive, but Gase and the Dolphins come away with nothing, and it's still 7-0 Buffalo. think this is an appropriate time to thank our bosses, Harold Bryan, Steve Karasik, for giving us the game in Miami this week. Certainly the Dolphins are happy to be home after their last 2 games in Buffalo and Kansas City. 4:38 to go first quarter, and the Bills back on offense. McCoy is shoved down by Andre Branch. Well, LeSean McCoy coming into the day, 53 carries at lost yardage, most in the NFL, and he adds to his total here.
And one of the things his coach Kelly Skipper has been trying to work with him on is to not reverse field, not take those big losses. That time, just a great penetration in the backfield, blew that play up before he even got it started. But he said, if you can gain a blade of grass, take it.
A loss of 5 for LeSean McCoy. It's 2nd and 15. A flag is down. Taylor keeps it himself and takes it out to the 16-yard line.
Talked about those alignment penalties. This looks like it's going to be one, either against the Dolphins in the neutral zone or the Bills lined up illegally.
Offside defense, number 50, lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty, repeat, 2nd down.
You know, sometimes you look at that defensive end and he's so far forward, you look at the offensive tackle opposite and you think, he must be too deep. That time the defensive lineman in that neutral zone trying to get off on the snap. He made the great play on first down. That time Andre Branch lined up illegally.
5 first quarter penalties against the Miami Dolphins. Taylor to McCoy. Trying to get past Timmons, and McCoy hit hard at the 18. Kiko Alonso came in late to finish off LeSean McCoy, and it brings up 3rd down.
Yeah, you've got to be careful if you're Kiko Alonso with all the emphasis on player safety. McCoy kind of is down for a moment, and here he comes with that shoulder. And that's a close one. That's one where officials they probably talked to him a little bit after the play. They could have also thrown the flag right there.
2 players that were traded for each other when Alonso went from Buffalo to Philly, and LeSean McCoy, who famously said at the time, who's Kiko Alonso? Who's the guy I got traded for? 3rd down and 6. Taylor to Clay, makes the catch and has the first down. Shoved out of bounds by Stephon Anthony, but Charles Clay, who dropped a touchdown in New England last week, holds on for this one, 15 yards.
And this one he kind of double caught. You know, you always talk to players about, catching the first time. Well, as long as it doesn't hit the ground, it's still a catch. That combination is one of the ones that Tyrod Taylor likes. It's very, very comfortable with Charles Clay, former Dolphin also.
Clay now over 500 yards receiving on the season, which is the 5th straight year he's done that. How about McCoy trying to get the other way, leaping over defenders and out of bounds. Rashad Jones forcing out McCoy.
Some of the best runs don't gain a lot of yards. You start to the left here, you jiggle, you move, and then you make a jump at the end to stay in bounds and to turn it up and gain 4 yards.
2nd and 6. Taylor in trouble, scrambling out. Pressure coming, and he throws on the run and completes it to Thompson. Another Buffalo first down. Xavier Howard knocks Thompson out of bounds, but not before Thompson picks up 10.
You know, when you look at Tyrod Taylor's stats, the passing yardage, it doesn't jump out at you. And then you look, you go, boy, he's sacked 42 times. But he's also run the ball 78 times. You can see his ability to make something out of nothing, which he did on that play. But his ability to run the ball slows that pass rush down quite a bit.
Taylor back to the air. Another completion to Clay. Dragged down at the 35 by T.J. McDonald, but Tyrod Taylor has started 8 out of 9 in this game for 111 yards.
And Matt Burke, the defensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins, sent 6 rushmen after him that time. So you've got coverage in the background, and Tyrod Taylor against Miami, pretty good record. But look at this, 9 yards per attempt. That's a lot of yardage to be racking up per attempt.
That was coming into the day. He's already thrown for another touchdown, so making 10 touchdown passes against the Dolphins for Taylor in his career. Here's Murphy, and Murphy finding some room inside the 15. Rashad Jones catches up with him, and a late flag comes in. If it stands, it's a gain of 25.
Well, there were 3 Dolphins, 1 Buffalo Bill. Maybe they got the face mask as they were trying to bring Murphy down.
Personal foul, face mask, number 20 in the defense. Half the distance to the goal, automatic first down.
Murphy's going, this is a lot easier than the practice squad stuff. In the practice squad stuff, they don't let me pass the line of scrimmage. So I get a hole here, I actually get to run through it.
Travaris Cadet injured his ankle last week, out for the season. They had to call up Murphy off the practice squad, and he makes a big play, a gain of 25. It's first and goal for the Bills with McCoy back in the ball game. McCoy. And McCoy is taken down for a loss. Cameron Malvo, one of the first to get back there for the Dolphins, and that could be the final play of the first quarter.
Great penetration by Miami. We've seen it in about 3 runs that LeSean McCoy has had. But those bootlegs are going to be open. When you charge that hard to chase LeSean McCoy, Tyrod Taylor coming out the other side, that's going to be an option for the Buffalo Bills.
Loss of 5 on the play. End of the first quarter. Bills looking for more. They already lead it 7-0. Back in South Florida with James Lofton, I'm Andrew Catalan, our entire NFL on CBS crew. Bills lead it 7-0, and the Bengals continue to lead the Ravens. All good for Buffalo here early on in Week 17. And a flag before this first play of the second quarter.
Encroachment. Defense, number 56. 5-yard penalty. Still third down.
Andrew, do you remember what Tyrod Taylor told us about Ndamukong Suh? He said he will take those offsides. And it looks like the rest of the defensive line is taking heed to that. They're trying to get off early on the snap counts. They've made some good plays defensively, but been offsides now a couple of times.
Second and goal. Play fake. Taylor, plenty of time, pressure coming, throws it end zone for O'Leary again, and this time he cannot reel it in. Pressure was coming. Taylor had to throw it high to try to lead O'Leary, but they could not connect, and it's third and goal.
Led him by just a little bit. Tyrod Taylor has to sit and wait for this play. Nick O'Leary started blocking, and then he was free and clear going in the opposite direction. That was a 3-iron instead of a 4-iron right there. McCoy
lined up at the top of your screen. Third and goal. 10th play of the drive for the Bills. Taylor looking for McCoy. It's deflected at the line and incomplete. Gabe Wright got a hand on that one. It's fourth down, and Sean McDermott will send out Stephen Hauschka.
That time in the pocket. Great job getting your hands up. That's what you're supposed to do defensively. If you can't get to the quarterback, get your hands up, especially in the red zone, where you know it's not going to be a pass that's way down the field and it's not going to have a lot of arc on it.
Hauschka 3 for 4, kicking field goals last week in New England. This is from 23 yards away. And the kick is good. Early second quarter, the Bills increase their lead. It's 10-0. Wisconsin won the Orange Bowl in this stadium last night. How about 40 years ago, the Sun Bowl? James Lofton, wait, what is this?
That is youthful enthusiasm.
When was the last time you had moves like that?
Oh, about a day ago.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Oh, man. Not pretty. No, not pretty. You also...
Oh, yeah, there we go.
You won the Rookie of the Year for Tops, that other pregame show on CBS Sports Network. Of course, you were the only rookie eligible to win the award. So
Not so true.
No, that's true. That is absolutely true. Sonoris Perry is on the return for the Dolphins, and he cannot get to the 25-yard line. 14:40 to go second quarter, and a little extracurricular. And these two meeting 2 weeks ago in Buffalo, you watched that game, there was a lot of after the whistle mixing it up as well. These two rivals going head to head. And the Bills with a 10-point lead this season are 5-0. Sean McDermott's done a wonderful job in his first year with the Bills. trying to get Buffalo into the playoffs for the first time since 1999. David Fales remains the quarterback. Jay Cutler played just one series. Empty backfield for Fales, throwing on first down. And he's going to just run it out of bounds at the 25, chased out by Cappy. David Fales began his career at Nevada, but he was going to be behind a guy named Colin Kaepernick for a while, so he transferred to Monterey Peninsula College and then ended up at San Jose State for 2 years, where he reset the record books with the Spartans, drafted in the 6th round by the Bears, and now in his first season with Miami. And Fales completes it to Grant. Grant cannot get away from Ramon Humber. Back to New York, an NFL Today update with JP and Boomer.
This is what Tennessee wants.
Little screen pass right here to the left side to Derrick Henry. Watch him just split the seam and go right up the numbers. He is going to take this 66-yard. The Titans are going to take the lead 6-0. The extra point was blocked by Jacksonville. Titans up 6-0 over the Jags. Back to you guys in Miami.
All right, Boomer, not what Bills fans were hoping to see. Remember, they need both the Titans and Chargers to lose, coupled with a Bills win, or if Buffalo wins and Baltimore loses, then the Bills would be in as well. On 3rd and 5, Fales in trouble, and he's sacked. Humber getting in the backfield to bring down Fales, and Adam Gase will punt.
And that's what Buffalo Bill fans want. They want more defense, more offense. Take care of what you can take care of first, then kind of scoreboard watching. It's the same way for the players. They are well aware of everything that needs to happen for them to get into the playoffs. But the first thing they have to do is to win this game, and so far, so good for the Buffalo Bills.
First sack of the season for the veteran Humber. And Matt Hawk punts it away for Miami. Tate from his own 32. A flag is down, and so is Tate at the 43-yard line. Last week in Kansas City, Miami 0 for 8 on 3rd downs, and to start today's game, they are 0 for 4.
Great field position for the Bills. I don't think it's going to hold up. I'm watching one of the Bill players near the officials, and didn't sound like he was enjoying listening to their conversation.
During the kick, illegal hands to the face. Number 24 of the return team. 10-yard penalty. First down, timeout.
Penalty on Leonard Johnson with 12:42 to go first half. 10-0 Buffalo. With a win and help, the Bills get in the playoffs. Here's a look at what they need: a win and a Baltimore loss. Right now, Ravens losing 7-0 to Cincinnati. Or if the Bills win and both the Titans and Chargers lose, Buffalo is in. Right now, Tennessee 6-0 on top of Jacksonville, and the Raiders and Chargers tied at 7. Tyrod Taylor off to a very hot start. 8 of 11, 111 yards and a touchdown pass. For Buffalo, they lead at 10-0. They'll start this drive at their own 22-yard line. Taylor, and he throws it incomplete. Charles Clay, the intended target. Well, not only do the Bills have the longest active playoff drought among NFL teams, they also have it for all 4 of the major sports. Seattle Mariners, last time they were in 2001, the T-Wolves 2004, and the Carolina Hurricanes 2009. Trying to turn that around today under first-year head coach Sean McDermott. With Zay Jones in motion, 2nd down and 10. Here's McCoy, and he picks up a couple to bring up 3rd down. When we met with Tyrod Taylor, we flat out asked him a simple question: is this the biggest game of your career? And he said, you know, I never really thought about that, but yes it is, and it's nice to have McCoy on his side.
And LaShawn McCoy, you know that he's the catalyst for this team, so it's been the Miami Dolphins getting after him, getting some early pressure on some runs in the backfield, knocking him backwards. But with that focus on him, play action fake to him, gets cash in on some big plays.
3rd down and 8. Taylor buying time, throws to a wide open Benjamin. There is a flag down, but if the play stands, it would be good for a Buffalo first down, a gain of 19.
Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness, number 35. 15 yards added in the play. First down.
That's on Walt Aikens, so tack on 15 more. Matt Burke not happy, the defensive coordinator.
Once again, Tyrod Taylor outside the pocket. You cannot lead with your helmet like that into a quarterback. And you think about Tyrod Taylor and the versatility that he has, his ability to run, and it's matched by some other guys, Cam Newton, Russell Wilson. And all of those quarterbacks complain once they get outside the pocket. They're still a passer, not a runner, so they're still protected.
Here's McCoy. And still tough sledding for LaShawn McCoy. Tonight, a special edition of 60 Minutes about people who are making a difference in America. Tonight on 60 Minutes, only CBS. Getting back to Tyrod Taylor telling us, yes, this is the biggest game of his career. Also could be his final game as a Buffalo Bill. A lot of uncertainty about whether or not they will bring him back next year. He is under contract, but they could let him go and save a bunch of money to be determined in the offseason. So now he's trying to lead the Bills into the playoffs. McCoy, so shifty, but again cannot turn it into a big game as Chase Allen throws him down.
Before he got to the line of scrimmage on that play, he made 3 players miss. So once you do that, the pursuit is going to catch up to you. That was number 1, 2, and that's the 3rd one that he made miss. He could, you talk about stop on a dime, give you 9 cents change, that old one right there. He's shifty, he's shady, he can do a lot of things with the football, but they need to get him some holes to run through up front.
He'll watch this 3rd down and 10 play with Murphy, the running back. Taylor cannot get away, and he's sacked. Cameron Wake with his 10th sack of the season. 5th time in his career he's had double-digit sacks.
Cameron Wake does a great job. He squeezes right past Jordan Mills, the right tackle, and he collapses the pocket. See that big swipe? And then one hand grabbing Tyrod Taylor and able to pull him down. And there's a reaction right there. He's got some muscles.
He's just the 12th player to record double-digit sacks in a season age 35 or older. What a career. Cameron Wake, who was undrafted out of Penn State. Fair catch by Grant. He lets it go into the end zone. There's a flag down right at midfield. Busy first half for Jeff Triplett and his crew.
Triplett's got a little bit of a grin on his face as he's getting the information from our line judge here.
Tyrod Taylor, 9 of 13, 129 yards in the touchdown pass. I think Jeff Triplett is ready.
During the kick, holding number 69 of the kicking team. That 10-yard penalty is added to the end of the play. First down, timeout.
It's on the Bills' long snapper, Reed Ferguson. Happy New Year from all of us at CBS Sports. 9:23 to go first half. David Fales, the quarterback for the Dolphins. They trail at 10-0. They have more penalty yards than passing yards so far in the first half. They hand it off to Drake. Drake nearly got through that hole. The 35-yard line, and Jordan Poyer on the tackle. Well, we met with the Bills last night, and Sean McDermott said he was going to ask Kyle Williams to address the team in their meeting after we met with them last night. He said he also did it before the team's final home game against the Dolphins. So we asked Kyle before his speech, what do you think you're going to say? And he goes, I have nothing prepared. I may shoot from the hip kind of guy. But Eric Wood told us that Kyle is the most talented speaker I've ever been around, player or coach. He was emotional 2 weeks ago. He expected it again last night. He's the heart and soul of our team. And James, you had a few little birdies in on that speech. So how did it go for Kyle Williams?
I talked to players and coaches, everybody equally impressed. And really, it's about that playoff drought and how important it would be for the team, for the community, for everybody involved, for them to win this game first off. And then if they get the help, that's great. Win this game.
3rd down and 1, and Drake has the first down. Another tackle for Ramon Humper. But Kyle Williams now in his 12th year out of LSU. First time he has played a meaningful Week 17 game. Last time the Bills had something on the line in Week 17 was 2004 when they lost to the Steelers and did not get into the playoffs, and then Williams was drafted in 2006. So Kyle Williams finally with something to play for in Week 17, trying to get his Bills into the postseason.
Hey, 5-2. Take a little pressure and got man outside.
Perry hit at the line of scrimmage and thrown down. We asked Adam Gase, give us a couple of guys you want to look at in this final game. He told us about David Fales, and he also mentioned Sonoris Perry and Thomas Duarte, the tight end. We haven't seen Duarte yet, but Perry getting a chance to carry on that last play.
I'm not playing poker against Adam Gase because when he told us about Fales, we thought 3rd, maybe 4th quarter. Get all the aces on that.
Perry again the running back, and his 2nd straight handoff. This time he takes it across the 45 to the 46-yard line. He'll bring up 3rd down. Miami has struggled mightily in the first half this year. Minus 101 point differential in the first half. You see Ryan Tannehill in the hat there, out for the season, ACL injury. He's expected to be their starter next year. We asked Adam Gase for an update on Tannehill. He said he's been recovering well in the weight room, throwing the football. So all indications are that Ryan Tannehill will be the starter here in 2018. But right now, it's David Fales facing 3rd down and 7. Throwing high and incomplete. Was trying to connect with the tight end Fasano. It's 4th down. There's some hesitation for the punter to run on the field since Adam Gase has already gone for it twice on 4th down, but he is sending out Matt Hawk.
And when they went for those previous 2 times, it was on their side of the field. So if they had been able to get to midfield and you had a 4th or 2 or 3, they might have done it. Fales is finding out the guy's going to bump into me now when I throw the ball as opposed to Wednesday through Friday when they don't touch me.
That was Lorenzo Alexander with the hit on Fales. Hawk punting to Tate. High end over end kick. Tate. Fair catch at his own 16-yard line. 6:05 to go. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Robert, Doug, Carmen, Sal, just some of the many hardworking men and women are on our phenomenal NFL on CBS crew. We say thank you to all of them for their hard work and effort throughout the season. 6:05 to go in the 2nd quarter. Bills lead it 10-0. McCoy has not been able to get going on the ground. This time he takes it across the 20 to the 21. As we remind you and give you an update on the scores going on around Week 17, still 7-0 Cincinnati. The Jaguars kick a field goal, now 6-3, and the Raiders have taken the lead on the Chargers. So again, it's early, but so far, so good for the Buffalo Bills as McCoy tries to turn the corner at the 25. He's tackled a yard shy of a 1st down. Lawrence Timmons on the stop. Take a listen.
I normally said ouch at the end when I got hit like that.
Well, they've given McCoy and the Bills a nice spot, and they've just given Buffalo a 1st down.
That was very generous. It looked like it was about a yard short, but done.
1st and 10. McCoy runs into the line and falls forward for maybe a yard. Kiko Alonso with another tackle for the Dolphins. Don't forget, coming up, Verizon Halftime Report with JB, Phil, Nate Boomer, and Coach Cower back in New York. All the latest NFL scores, highlights, and playoff scenarios coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. Sean McCoy, 10 carries for 7 yards. Now, 2 weeks ago against Miami, he had 20 carries for 50 yards, so just 2.5 yards per carry. So the Dolphins' run defense has done a good job against LaShawn McCoy in these 2 games. Taylor, pump fakes, buys some time, completes it to Clay, and Clay takes it to the 33-yard line. The flag comes in late. Godshaw on the tackle.
Eric Wood, the center, 10 yards down the field, because that first pump was when the screen was supposed to be thrown. And Eric Wood, he knows the timing of it. The timing was thrown off.
Ineligible player downfield on a forward pass. Number 70. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
We met with Wood last night. You know, we said in the preseason, you trade Sammy Watkins, you trade Ronald Darby. There's talk of the Bills tanking. When did you believe you guys would be a playoff team? And he said, you know, I looked around during preseason practices and training camp, and I thought there was just too much talent and too many effort guys on our team to only have 4 or 5 wins. And then when we started winning games the way we said we were going to win games, running the football, stopping the run, and not turning the ball over, we really started to believe that our brand of football was going to lead us to a lot of victories this year. Interesting thoughts from Eric Wood as Murphy is hit hard out of bounds. And down goes the chain guy as well, Lawrence Timmons, with another big hit.
Timmons gets a hit, and Kiko Alonso, this is about the second time where it's questionable. He's out of bounds, and then there comes another shove. Now, you might get away with those, but they're really not worth it.
Alonso had the controversial hit on Thursday Night Football earlier this season on Joe Flacco when Flacco was injured. 3rd down and 12 with Mike Tolbert at running back. Taylor to Tolbert, hit hard and well short of a first down. Stephon Anthony is a guy Miami acquired in a trade from New Orleans back in September and could have a future here with the Dolphins.
You know, we had talked about Adam Gase being a little more bold in this game and going for it on 4th down. If you're going to be bold, you would have called timeout right after that play was stopped and not let the Bills work this clock down as it approaches 2 minutes there. You would have called timeout and had that already done.
Well, good point is Colton Schmidt. The punter is letting the play clock tick down to 3 with Grant back deep. Good kick by Schmidt as Grant all the way over to the 20-yard line. Now Grant trying to reverse field, and Lafayette Pitts, the former Dolphin, makes a nice special teams tackle. A 50-yard punt. It's 10-0 Buffalo. Final game of the regular season, the Dolphins trail the Bills 10-0. A look at some of the scores of interest to Bills fans. The Ravens kicked a field goal. It's still Cincinnati in front, but now it's 7-3 in favor of the Bengals. 2:02 to go, first half. David fails, the Miami quarterback swings into Drake. And Drake tackled by Hughes at the 26, a gain of 4, and we've reached the 2-minute warning.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Domino's. Order online at Domino's.com. And by Tostitos. Tostitos gives back to Salvation Army.
Some of the incredible images from the snow game in Buffalo a few weeks ago. It's a little different down here in Miami today, where it's 69 degrees. Back in Buffalo, it feels like -4, but it'll be a lot warmer if the Bills find their way into the playoffs. I'll tell you that for sure. 2nd down and 6. Fails, completes it to Landry. And timeout has been called by Buffalo with 1:50 to go. We'll be back in 30 seconds after this from Fidelity Investments. 3rd down and 4 for Miami with 1:50 to go in the second quarter.
That's a lot of confidence in your defense by Sean McDermott to give Fales time to have time in the huddle to figure this thing out.
Let's see if Miami converts. Pressure coming. Fales steps up. He will run it. Can he get the first down? Angling for the sideline, and it appears he's got it. Preston Brown chases him out, although that spot is before the chains.
He had the ball in his right hand, which was in front of that marker as he's running toward the boundary.
Wow, it is short, and Adam Gase will send out his punter.
It's coming directly at us. Ball in his right hand, stick that ball out, steps over it.
This is with our line, which is unofficial, very close. Inside 2 minutes, cannot challenge that call if you're Adam Gase. So it's 4th and 1 with 1 on the play clock. And Hawk will punt it away to Tate. So the Bills defense comes up with the stand. Tate driven back to his own 14. And Tate at the 25. Flag is down. Tate is still going. Now a second flag comes in, and it's the punter, Hawk, who shoves Tate out of bounds after a 36-yard return. But there are 2 separate flags down on the field.
That change of direction will get your blockers every time. He's going to the left, cuts back to the right. Those hands get extended. You don't let go. Flags come out.
During the return, illegal blocking the back, number 44, return team. 10-yard penalty, still first down.
It's on Dion Lacey, who actually spent training camp here with the Dolphins in Miami.
There it is right there. Nope. There it was. Didn't look like much. But once you can read that guy's name, the back of his jersey, it should say, "Don't block me." Remember, he hate me, don't block me.
Very similar. 2 timeouts for the Bills. Taylor to Clay. Out of bounds at the 24. Let's see if they can get in Stephen Hauschka field goal range at the very least. Hauschka has made 7 field goals from 50 yards or longer this year, tied for the most in the NFL. Don't forget, coming up, Verizon Halftime Report with our guys back in New York. All the scores, highlights, and playoff scenarios on the way with the Verizon Halftime Report. Taylor in trouble, and he goes down. That is the second sack today by the Miami defense. Branch and Wait getting back there. We'll be back in 30 seconds after this. Bills right tackle Jordan Mills is still down on the ground in his 5th season out of Louisiana Tech.
Checking his left leg. You get in with all those bodies. Somebody's going to end up rolling on the back of that leg. Overextend it. Just kind of buckled a little bit as he's trying to regain his balance, but he just got shoved right into the quarterback's lap by Cameron Wake.
Seantrell Henderson has come onto the field for Mills. Now Henderson could play left tackle, and they could move Dion Dawkins over to the right tackle. We'll see how Sean McDermott handles this, along with the O-line coach Juan Castillo. Dion Dawkins, though, got a lot of reps over the summer at both left and right tackle as Cordy Glenn wasn't healthy. So Dawkins did have some opportunities to see both sides of the line. Even though this is his 11th start at left tackle, he could move over to the right side. But right now it appears Mills is in bad shape, slowly walking off the field.
You'd probably like to make as few changes as possible. So you get your right tackle hurt. You move the guy from left to right. Now he's got to rethink his stance and some of the calls. So you can leave him at left, put him at right, get through this half. And then if you want to make some changes in the locker room, you can talk to the guys about what they feel comfortable doing.
Scoring updates, and right now it's the first scenario that looks better for the Bills than the second one as the Ravens continue to trail. But in the other 2 games of interest, the Titans and the Chargers both have the lead right now in the second quarter. So Mills makes it back to the Buffalo sideline. It will be 3rd down and 9 for Buffalo. They are going to keep Dawkins at left tackle and move Henderson over to the right side.
What they
John
also,
Trell has only played 16 snaps all season.
and there's Mike Tolbert there to help on the edge, to block.
Taylor to Clay. Can he get to the sticks? Yes, he does. First down for Buffalo at the 29-yard line. They had just one timeout left because they were charged for a timeout for the Mills injury. Inside 1 minute to go. Taylor's pass deflected and incomplete. Stops the clock with 49 seconds remaining. And there goes Mills off on a cart to the Buffalo locker room. Cordy Glenn on injured reserve. And another backup tackle, Connor McDermott, is inactive today. So right now it's Dawkins and Henderson, the tackles for Buffalo. Second down and 10. Need about 31 yards to get into Hauschka's range.
Looks like pressure, but I would expect them to drop out.
Taylor steps up, he'll keep it himself. A flag down in the secondary. Tyrod lost the football, and Miami recovers. The Bills have not turned it over in 7 straight games against the Dolphins. That's the longest streak in NFL history for one team against any single opponent. But if this play stands, it will be a fumble by Taylor. It was Stephon Anthony who forced it, and TJ McDonald recovered. Here's Jeff Triplett. Well, I should have known that Jeff's not ready.
No, and it looked like there was either illegal contact or holding against Deontay Thompson, number 10. So now you go back to the second down marker, you give them the 5-yard penalty, whatever it is, and you move from there as opposed to where the fumble occurred.
Personal foul.
Personal foul.
Face mask, number 91 on the defense prior to the fumble. The ball will be returned to Buffalo with a 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
Wow, that's a huge break for the Buffalo Bills. The penalty on Cameron Wake negates the turnover and moves the ball all the way to the Miami 44.
Cameron Wake right there, and he's grabbing the tight end, Nick O'Leary, and that's where the face mask call comes from. You talk about a gift. It's like the one present that you didn't realize was in the closet after Christmas, and you bring it out. Go here, honey.
9 penalties against Miami in the first half. Most in the first half this season for the Dolphins. Meanwhile, it's an ankle injury for Jordan Mills. They're saying his return for now is questionable, but obviously it did not look good. One timeout for Buffalo. Taylor taking a deep shot from Deontay Thompson down the field, and it's juggled, and it's incomplete. Nearly picked off by Xavier Howard.
Deontay Thompson takes an inside release. He has about a half a step, but the ball is thrown about a step and a half short. He can't come back to get it. There it goes inside, trying to stretch back to the outside, and the ball is just a little bit short by Tyrod Taylor.
Bills are the only team in the NFL without a 50-yard play this year. They've gone 18 games without a 40-yard touchdown pass. They nearly had one right there. Second down and 10. Taylor. Clay drops it. Dropped the touchdown last week in New England. The following play was the very controversial Kelvin Benjamin touchdown that was overturned, and it's a bad drop by Clay right there.
And you can get it in your head when you start to drop a ball here and there, and you start to think about catching. And that's the worst thing in the world. How are my hands positioned? And what am I going to do after the catch? It has to be so natural where you look at the point of that ball, you tuck it away. Charles Clay right now is struggling.
Taylor started 8 out of 9. Since then, he's 5 for 11 on this third down and 10. Pressure coming. Taylor gets away. Buys some time. Pressure coming again. Taylor steps up, and he goes down. Stephon Anthony again makes another tackle. It's 4th down for Buffalo with 22 seconds to go.
You have to stay so active when you have somebody like Tyrod Taylor. You can't become stagnant in your route. You've got to move, uncover. Tyrod Taylor can't see the whole field as he's moving to his left, but the guys who are on that side, they've got to do a better job in making themselves available and a target so that he has someone to throw to once he breaks the pocket.
It would be a 60-yard field goal from here. So Sean McDermott sends out his punter, Colton Schmidt.
Love for them to jump off sides here.
This one bounces at the 5, and it stays inside the 5. Down by Shamarko Thomas. So a great punt by Schmidt, who's having a big half here for the Bills.
Shamarko Thomas probably hears the ball hit. He's going, okay, where is it? I know it's somewhere around here. Right there, probably bat the ball away. Stay away from that goal line.
Meanwhile, more good news for Buffalo fans. Cincinnati has just taken a 14-3 lead on the Ravens. So if the Bills win and Baltimore loses, Buffalo is going to the playoffs for the first time since 1999. Ravens losing that game at home to the rival Bengals. Now fails, you assume just try to take a knee. He can get it out of the end zone. Instead, he'll hand it to Perry, and that would be the final play of the first half. Buffalo will receive the second half kickoff. So far, the Bills with a 10-0 lead on the Dolphins, and they're getting what they need from the Ravens against the Bengals. That's the end of the first half with Buffalo leading 10-0. Halftime is next after these first half highlights from Verizon and a word from your local station. Halftime here in Miami, and the Bills have a 10-0 lead on the Dolphins. Penalties, a huge problem for Miami, 9 for 70 yards. They've only converted 1 of their 7 third down opportunities. Back here in the booth with Hall of Famer James Lofton, I'm Andrew Catalan. Good start for the Bills, and also the Bengals continue to lead the Ravens. So still a half to go, but Buffalo halfway to the postseason. Tyrod Taylor, he told us, biggest game of his career today, and so far 13 out of 20 with a touchdown pass.
And for a quarterback that at midseason they were going, well, I don't know, we may be ready to move on right now. Right now, Tyrod Taylor is the man because he had a good start early. He's run the ball effectively. The Dolphins have done a nice job taking away LaShawn McCoy so far, but I would still continue to feed LaShawn McCoy the ball so that you have a little bit of balance. And in that balance, if you're going to use your play-action passing game, you need the Dolphins to believe that LaShawn McCoy is a run threat.
LaShawn McCoy, 10 carries for just 7 yards. He does have 2 catches for 22 yards. The leading running back for Buffalo today is Marcus Murphy, who coming into the game had a grand total of 1 carry in his career. Bills get the ball to start the second half. Murphy has it bounce off his shoulder pads, picks it up at the 9. And Murphy at the 20. How about Murphy to the 27-yard line? Tyrod Taylor, 13 out of 20, 153 yards, and the touchdown pass.
And there's nothing wrong with his arm, nothing wrong with his legs, and the ability to move away from a pass rush and to be able to spot receivers downfield is unique. Not a lot of quarterbacks can do it. You look at the pocket watch, you get worn out just trying to chase this guy, and chasing him should help LaShawn McCoy run the ball.
Well, McCoy, 5 of his 10 carries either gained no yards or lost yards. They throw it to Zay Jones on first down. Jones loses his helmet after a big hit. That's his first catch since December 3rd against the Patriots. He had gone 3 straight games without a reception.
And since it had been 3 straight games since he had a reception, he doesn't need buckle his helmet anymore. He figures nobody's going to hit me. They're going to throw you the ball. You better have that thing strapped up really, really well. And there's Kiko Alonso, a little bit of helmet to helmet.
A gain of 7 for Jones. Second down and 3. Branch coming with pressure. Taylor, he's going to keep it himself. He's got a lot of room to run. Tyrod Tyrod Taylor into Miami territory and out of bounds at the 48-yard line, a gain of 18.
That takes all the juice out of the pass rush. You get great pressure. You're so close. But now when you have to chase the quarterback, lucky that they have a timeout here. Unfortunately, it's Kiko Alonso, and he was down on one knee, and a couple of his teammates, Cameron Wake and Ndamukong Suh, were motioning to the sideline. Hey, get out here and take a look at this guy right now. And it might be from that previous big hit that he had on Zay Jones. Like I said, it was helmet to helmet. Sometimes, guy can mask it for one play, but his teammates looked at him and saw that, he needed a little bit of help out there.
Alonso in his second year with Miami, originally a second-round pick by the Bills in 2013. Another look at the hit on first down that he put on Zay Jones.
And you can see the way he flops on the ground, and you're taught to try and get up as quickly as possible. That's what he's trying to do, but he walked off. He's relatively stable walking off right there. Let's see if we go into the blue tent.
That's the Bills medical tent, and we're told that Zay Jones is in there right now being evaluated. But after the Tyrod Taylor run, the Bills have it 1st and 10 at the Miami 48-yard line.
180.
McCoy to the 45 now. Of late, this has been a big problem for the Bills. Second half struggles. Only 15 points scored. Fewest in the NFL. That includes overtime. The only touchdown was in OT against the Colts. And after that last play, LaShawn McCoy is shaken up with the Bills training staff out to take a look at McCoy. We're back here in South Florida, and the cart has come out for LaShawn McCoy. Clearly in a lot of pain after that last play, and needs help coming off the field as we take another look at what happened.
He's in the pile. He starts to get tackled, and it's his right foot kind of just buckles underneath him and couldn't put any pressure on it, putting him on the cart. Bud Carpenter, the head trainer, came out. Head coach Sean McDermott came out, and he was visibly upset, pounded the ground a couple of times because the injury hurts, but he realizes how much his team needs him right now.
And you can see the frustration from McCoy while he was down during that last timeout. He accounts for 32% of Buffalo's yards this year, third most of any player for their team in the NFL. And we certainly wish McCoy all the best. Now, it's an area where the Bills do not have a lot of depth today. Mike Tolbert takes the handoff here, but Tolbert has been inactive 4 of the last 6 games. He's become a forgotten man in this offense. And the other running back is Marcus Murphy, who, as we told you, had 1 career carry coming into the day.
And you probably get to some more direct runs that are straight downhill that don't require the running back to cut and read the backside. So Marcus Murphy, and we saw on that first play, Mike Tolbert just pounded the middle.
3rd down and 3 for Buffalo. Taylor completes it, and that's good for a 1st down. It's Murphy who makes the catch, and Walt Aikens on the tackle. They needed 3, they pick up 5.
All those plays on the practice squad, you're not getting reps with the first unit. You have to be an excellent study guy to be in your 3rd year and to be on a practice squad. So Kelly Skipper, who is his running back coach, has to have the confidence in him that he has them ready to play and have them ready to play a lot today in case of emergency. This is an emergency.
Bills are telling us McCoy questionable to return with an ankle injury as Murphy is spun down. Chase Allen coming in the backfield for a loss of 4. Meanwhile, let's update the scores, and right before the half, the Ravens were able to score a touchdown. So at the half, Cincinnati leads 17-10. At the moment, that appears to be the best way for Buffalo to get in, because Tennessee and the LA Chargers continue to lead their games. So right now, it's the Bills looking to Cincinnati to try to get it done in the second half against the Ravens.
Good.
course, Buffalo needs to take care of business here as well. They lead at 10-0. 2nd and 14. Taylor to Benjamin. He's tackled at the 31 by Howard. He'll set up 3rd down and short after a gain of 9.
Now, you may not remember this, but when kids are little and they play Pop Warner, there's that one kid on the other team who's so big, you're playing in an 8-year-old league, and you just know he's 11 years old. That's Kelvin Benjamin. When he moves out to receiver, defensive backs look at him and go, wait a minute, he should not be able to run this fast. He should not be this agile because he's so big and so strong. Been nicked up a little bit with the Bills, but they could surely use him right now.
6'5", 245. Let's see where they go here on 3rd down and 5. Taylor, he can run it himself. He will, but he's not going to get there. Out of bounds at the 30. So from here, about a 48-yard field goal for Stephen Hauschka, or maybe Sean McDermott will go for it. No, he's not going to go for it on 4th and 4. Instead, he sends out his kicker, Hauschka.
It was interesting. During pregame warm-up, Sean McDermott came out early, and he watched his kicker kind of go through the paces. They start with the 30-yarder. They keep marching back. And he said, I like to just see his range myself. You know, I'll get the report from the special teams coach, but I want to see it myself. And I know he's pretty confident with this distance right here.
Officially a 49-yard field goal for Hauschka. Kick on the way, and it is good. With 10:17 to go in the 3rd quarter, it's now a 13-0 Bills lead. Back at Hard Rock Stadium, where the Bills have just increased their lead to 13-0. There on the right is Bills owner Terry Pegula and general manager Brandon Beane drinking the water in the red tie. There's Kim Pegula in the back of the box as well, co-owner with Terry, as they hope to see the Bills get in the playoffs for the first time since 1999. Hauschka's field goal makes it a 13-0 lead. This is Perry on the return for Miami. Perry slips a tackle. Perry at the 30 and out of bounds at the 35-yard line, pushed out by Humber. A 37-yard return for Sonora's Perry. Well, Bills special teamers Stephen Hauschka, Colton Schmidt, and Reed Ferguson brought some holiday cheer on Christmas Day while visiting patients at the Oshai Children's Hospital in Buffalo. Hauschka even used his vocal skills to serenade some of the kids at the hospital. So David Fales, the quarterback for Miami, 7 out of 11 for just 40 yards passing. To the air here on 1st and 10 to a wide open Jarvis Landry. Landry into Bills territory and tackled at the 39-yard line. A gain of 26 for Landry. Preston Brown on the tackle.
Kenyon Drake's first half, where he had 8 carries for 58 yards, sets this play up. A little play action fake. Linebackers, safety all step up. There's that void area between the linebackers and the deep safety. Nice, easy throw for him, David.
Longest pass play today for Miami. They go no huddle here, 1st and 10. Bell steps up, fires, dropped. Landry was open again, just put his finger in the air and said, that one's on me. Landry, in the final year of his contract, has said that he wants to stay in Miami, loves being down here. They could franchise tag him, they could give him a long-term deal, or they could let him walk. Interesting to see what happens, although there has been interest on both sides for a Landry return. 2nd down and 10. Drake up the middle, and it'll be 3rd and long for Miami.
That drop combined with a good stop by the Buffalo Bills on 2nd down there now puts Miami in that tough 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8 distance. But it's also a distance. When we talked to Adam Gase yesterday, he said, if I can get this to 3rd, 5, 3rd, 6, 4th down rather, I'll go for it on 4th down. So it's 4 down territory for the Miami Dolphins here.
Yeah, he said he might run it in a situation like this to set up 4th and short.
Oh my God, it's Gamble! It's Gamble!
Fails, and not on the same page with Jakeem Grant. Incomplete, 4th and 8, and Adam Gase is keeping the offense on the field. He's already gone for it twice on 4th down. They're 1 out of 2.
You know, you talked about the discussion with Jarvis Landry. There's been a lot of talk about Devontae Parker, who they drafted in the first round in 2015. Hasn't been able to stay healthy consistently, but he's still a good target up top.
4th down and 8. Bales with Kyle Williams coming. Bales just throws it away. Williams and Hughes applying the pressure, and the Bills defense does the job again. They're still pitching a shutout here in Miami. There is a flag down at midfield. I think this is going to be intentional grounding on Fales.
Intentional grounding, offense.
Lost it down in a spot foul.
Placed in the spot of the foul. Lost it down.
I'm just trying to help him out.
And it's first down this way.
Timeout on the field. Buffalo leads 13-0. With James Lofton, I'm Andrew Catalon. A couple of injury updates. Kiko Alonso has a neck injury. He is questionable to return. On 1st and 10, it's Murphy up the middle to the 45-yard line. So Alonso questionable to return. McCoy, they're also saying questionable to return, although as we all saw, it did not look good. And that was a good sign there. Jordan Mills is back in at right tackle for Buffalo. He was shaken up and slowly walked off the field, but he has returned. It's 2nd down and 5. Miami jumped. It was a free play. Murphy is taken down at the 36-yard line. Penalties continue to haunt the Miami Dolphins.
Offside. Number 98, defense. That penalty's declined. Result of the play is first down.
Second time Gabe Wright has done that. And it's a first down for the Bills with 8:08 to go in the 3rd quarter.
When a player like Marcus Murphy would join the team or get on the active roster, one of the things you'd hear is fresh legs. His legs look so fresh in this ballgame.
It's a play fake. Taylor to DeMarco, and the fullback brings it in. Picks up about 4 yards on the play. Mike Hull on the tackle. Just the 7th catch this year for Patrick DeMarco. He grew up near Orlando, Florida.
You had a 2-receiver route with Kelvin Benjamin and Zay Jones trying to work a deep post and a deep cross on the top. And then the outlet guy was the fullback, DeMarco, and really a good job by Tyrod Taylor finding him and getting something out of that play.
Taylor, nowhere to go. Now throws, and it's caught by Jones. Zay Jones able to bring that in, his 2nd reception of the game.
It looks like this probably hit the ground, but he gets one hand kind of under it. But you've got to challenge this on the sideline if you're Adam Gase.
Bills trying to get to the line quickly, and now Gase has thrown the flag. I think you saw Zay Jones say, hurry up, let's get this one off because I didn't catch it. And the Bills could not snap it in time. So good job by Adam Gase and his crew up in the booth to recognize that.
Miami is challenging the ruling on the field of a completed pass.
This year, Gase is 1 for 3 on challenges, but expected to go to 2 for 4 after that one. Clearly saw it bounce. And Darren Rizzi, who's the associate head coach and the special teams coordinator, actually threw the red flag.
Which makes sense because think about it, Adam Gase is busy being the offensive coordinator while he's looking at some things on his sheet, but Rizzi, he's active in the game, and that's probably one of the duties that Gase has dispensed to his coaching staff.
This should hopefully not take very long. Of course, Buffalo got what many people thought was burned by replay last week in New England, with the Benjamin touchdown being wiped out. Terry Pagula voiced his displeasure. The Bills owner on radio this week, Sean McDermott, said he spoke directly with the NFL office and
After
said he
review, the
was
ruling
still at
on
a
the
loss.
field is changed. The pass hit the ground. It's incomplete pass. It'll be 3rd down and 6 at the 32-yard line. Reset the game clock to 7:16.
So 3rd down and 6. Now, before the LaShawn McCoy injury, the Bills were averaging 5.6 yards per play. Since McCoy went out, it's down to 3.7 yards per play. Let's see what happens here on 3rd down and 6. Bills are in field goal range. Be about a 50-yarder from here if they don't get any yardage. That's Murphy in motion to the bottom of your screen. Taylor looking deep down the field. Thompson is down there, and it's incomplete, but a flag comes in. It was Cordray Tankersley on the coverage. And if this is against Miami, it would be their 11th penalty of the game.
And it's in the end zone, which will put this ball on the 1-yard line.
Pass interference, defense number 30. That foul occurred in the end zone. The ball will be placed at the 1-yard line. 1st down.
That grab on the left shoulder.
When Tyrod Taylor let go of this ball, Andrew, I'm thinking, why is he throwing this ball so high? And it's almost like, I know I got one-on-one coverage on the outside. We have a scouting report on Tankersley that says he doesn't turn to locate the ball. And if the ball's thrown high and kind of late, he's going to go right through my receiver, and I'm going to get the ball on the 1-yard line.
Kyle Williams, touchdown! Amazing! Unbelievable. They put in Williams as the fullback, and he scores a touchdown. The 12th year defensive tackle into the game, and they're going nuts for the heart and soul of that Bills team. Kyle Williams, and Sean McDermott wants to go for 2. I don't think Kyle Williams is going to make it back out with a 2-point play, though. Unbelievable call.
Obviously a play that they repped in practice, because this was not a spur-of-the-moment celebration. He takes this, all the offensive linemen get around him, he throws it up, and when it lands, they all go backwards.
First rushing touchdown for Kyle Williams in his career. Bills go for 2. Murphy does not get there. That was the first 2-point attempt by Buffalo this season. Kyle Williams. Yeah, he did. Kyle Williams with his first career touchdown, offense or defense. First time he's ever carried the football. What a great job by the Bills coaching staff to put that in for Williams, who could be playing in his final game. He pondered retirement last year, decided to come back. We asked him about his future last night. He said, I haven't really made any decisions. I do love this coaching staff. That was kind of one of my holdups last year, not knowing who the new coach was going to be. I do love these guys, but I'm a free agent. We'll have to see what happens. No matter what happens, he will now have a touchdown to his name. Saturday, an SEC showdown. Florida battles Missouri. And then on Sunday, a Big Ten battle. I'll be in Columbus with Bill Raftery as number 2 Michigan State takes on Ohio State. Great NCAA basketball action next weekend on CBS. Well, Williams needs a breather right now, James. Can't put him back out on defense.
When you run that far with the ball, it's tough.
Yeah, 1 yard. Get him catch his breath a little bit. On 1st and 10, it's Grant who slips a tackle, and Grant picks up the first down. How about the Bills going for 2? Did you like that?
Well, I like it because it was a momentum grab. You know, you kick it and you're 20. It's still a 3-score game technically, but if you get that 2-point conversion, it's kind of like, you know, you're punching the bully in the nose again.
Bills have just ruled out LaShawn McCoy with an ankle injury. He will not return. Fails to Drake. Trying to get past Milano and out of bounds. Meanwhile, let's update these scores. As if the Kyle Williams this touchdown didn't bring enough celebration for Bills fans. The Bengals just scored again, a pick six thrown by Joe Flacco. So it's now 24-10 in favor of Cincinnati. Again, if the Bills win and Cincinnati wins, Terry Pagula, Brandon Beane, and the Bills are going to the playoffs. 2nd down and 7. Drake, let's go back to New York. Take a look at what happened in Baltimore with JB and Boomer.
And here you have it, Andrew. All right, Andrew, this is some good news for Bills fans right there. That's Chris Moore. He had a great kickoff return at the end of the first half and a touchdown to get the Baltimore Ravens back into a game. He bobbles the ball right here. This is Darqueze Dennard, 89-yard interception return. And the Bengals now lead 24-10. Back to Andrew and James in Miami.
Amazing. Bengals playing hard for Marvin Lewis, and what could be his final game as Cincinnati's head coach. On 3rd and 3, that's a first down run for Kenyon Drake. Preston Brown on the tackle. But only 5:20 to go in the 3rd quarter.
The one thing that I would say about the Buffalo Bills today is they have not played like a tight team. You don't see anxiety in them. You see guys flying around, making plays. You see the defense communicating. And the defense has done a good job to this point of making tackles after the catch when guys have been one-on-one out in the open field.
Fails. Complete to Parker with some room to run. Devontae Parker inside the Buffalo 30. Tre'Davious White on the tackle, but a gain of 23 for Devontae Parker.
Great job at the line of scrimmage, moving Tre'Davious White to the outside. You see here a coach say, move him off your grass, and he did that, beat him inside. Once again, you got to make that tackle, which the Buffalo Bills did with that quick slant, short pass, long run. Nice job by Parker.
5-2.
Fails is over 100 yards passing after that last play. 11 of 18 for 105. He's going to hand it to Drake. And Drake carrying the pile close to the 20. Kenyon Drake, a 3rd-round pick last year out of Alabama. Adam Gase spent 3 seasons as an assistant at LSU under Nick Saban. Drake played at Alabama for Saban, so Gase had some intel on what they were getting in the 3rd round a year ago, and he's looked great here down the stretch of the season. 2nd down and 4.
Landry's in the backfield.
Fails, pump fakes, able to escape, now throws on the run to the end zone, and it is juggled and incomplete. E.J. Gaines nearly had another interception. On the first drive of the game, he came close, and he comes close again.
And they've both been relatively tough catches. He has to elevate here. Almost has a chance to get it. I think Parker actually gets his hand in there. At that point, if you're the wide receiver, you've got to become the defender and make sure that the defensive player doesn't become the wide receiver. You got that? I like juggling a little bit.
Yes, very, very, very good. I like that. 3rd down and 4. Miami just 2 for 9 on 3rd downs today. Fails, incomplete, but a flag. Looked like Milano got there a hair too early for the Bills.
Milano's thinking the pass was a little too late because I had great coverage.
Pass interference, defense, number 58. Ball will be played with the spot of the foul, automatic first down.
So another set of downs, but you can see the coverage is there. Ball's a little late, a little high.
Best drive of the day for Miami. Before this possession, they had a total of 5 first downs. On this drive, they have 4 first downs. The latest one because of the penalty. 1st and 10.
Gotta watch Jarvis Landry in the side.
Drake slips and taken down. Jerry Hughes on the tackle. Hughes has had a quiet year with 4 sacks. He's never had fewer than 5 in his time with the Bills.
He does a great job. He beats Zach Stirrup, and he turns that corner really quickly. Stirrup is a big, tall guy and kind of just leans forward a little too much.
Pro Football Focus, you can see the Bills have done a great job of making contact in the opponent's backfield this season like they did right there. 2nd and 12, fails. Dancing out of the pocket, chased by Hughes, throws incomplete in the end zone. Pass was short, intended for Grant. It's 3rd and 12.
You saw Jarvis Landry run a play from the backfield. That time Jakeem Grant was in the backfield as a wide receiver, and that puts so much pressure on the linebackers because now that linebacker is looking at that wide receiver going, I need some help here. This is not my matchup. My matchup is against the running backs, not the receivers when they come into the backfield. So nice job by Adam Gase in scheming and getting the kind of matchups that he'd like, but they haven't been able to execute because of the pass rush by the Buffalo Bills.
And now 3rd down and long. Fails over the middle into the end zone, broken up. Micah Hyde got a hand on that for Buffalo. It's 4th and 12, and Adam Gase is sending out his kicker, Cody Parkey, to attempt a field goal for the first time today.
Well, he's doing the math. 3 points here, 2 more touchdowns with 2-point conversions would tie the game up. So, you know, he's playing the math game here as the head coach, hoping that his defense can not allow the Buffalo Bills to score when they get the ball back offensively.
Great play by Micah Hyde, who's celebrating his 27th birthday today. A 36-yard attempt for Cody Parkey. And Parkey is good. So Miami finally on the board with 2:30 to go in the 3rd quarter. Bills lead now 19-3. Let's take a look at some of the early headlines from the 1 o'clock Eastern Time games today. And the Patriots, led by Dion Lewis, clinch home field and the #1 seed throughout the AFC playoffs. The Vikings got the job done against the Bears. They've clinched the 1st-round bye and the #2 seed in the NFC. And the Steelers won. They'll be the 2 seed in the AFC. And Cleveland finishes 0-16 on the season. Tyrod Taylor getting ready to go back to work. He's 17 for 25, 178 yards and 1 touchdown. Remember, they will not have LaShawn McCoy as an option down the stretch, out for the game with an ankle injury for Buffalo.
I think we might see a little bit of funny business with the kickoff here. Either try and pooch it, not kick it to one of the deep guys, or try and even get a ricochet of one of these guys who are in the front line.
Miami has recovered 3 onside kicks this year, the most in the NFL, including one 2 weeks ago against Buffalo. But Parkey is kicking deep, and it will be a touchback. Let's take a look at the updated AFC playoff picture. The top 4 seeds are all locked in. New England, Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, Kansas City. The 4 teams left for 2 spots. And as we told you, Baltimore continues to trail. Bills continue to lead. If that holds up, Buffalo is going to the playoffs. On 1st down, Tyrod Taylor looking to throw. Steps up, now he'll run it. And Taylor across the 30. Let's go back to New York. An NFL Today update with JB and Boomer again.
Chargers doing their part.
I'll tell you what, Philip Rivers is having quite the game. 26 of 34, 354, and 3 touchdowns. Here's the 3rd one right there to Travis Benjamin, 62 yards in the air. Chargers lead the Raiders 30-10. They're doing their part to try to stay in the playoff hunt. Back to Miami.
All right, guys, so now it looks like all the eggs for Buffalo are in the basket of Cincinnati winning, with the Chargers out to that 20-point lead. How about Mike Tolbert? Big run, lowering his shoulder all the way to the 47-yard line.
That was some extra power right there, because Mike Tolbert, low man wins, and especially if you weigh 265 pounds like Mike Tolbert does, and then he covers up the ball. But that on Lawrence Timmons, who is a big, strong linebacker, you better get nice and low, or you better get some help when you're trying to tackle Mike Tolbert.
Tolbert has not exactly been a fan favorite for Bills fans the last couple of months, but that's a big run there, a pickup of 16 yards. Tolbert again, and this time maybe a yard, as we approach 1 minute to go in the 3rd quarter. Tolbert coming over from Carolina. As you see, owner Terry Pagula, GM Brandon Bean, Kim Pagula in the background as well. They're starting to pace
now
a little bit in the booth.
They know what's going on. I wonder if Sean McDermott is getting updates as to, how the game is going, what else is happening around the league, and, how to position yourself and win this thing and get through the third quarter and the fourth quarter.
Well, he has claimed he would not be scoreboard watching, but I would imagine at this point it's hard not to. Taylor slips a tackle, gets rid of it to Zay Jones, who's got another catch. And down at the 37-yard line. Great job by Tyrod Taylor. So elusive in the backfield. A gain of 18.
We have a lot of different stats that we can go to. Yards after catch, yards after contact when you're running the ball. But you don't have the, they almost had a sack, but they missed category.
That is the end of the third quarter. Buffalo 19, Miami 3. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Goldberg, spotter, John Lou McCarthy, statistician Michael Notaro. Our entire crew, it's 1st and 10 as Tolbert keeps it rolling inside the 30-yard line. Back to New York. Another NFL Today update with JB and Boomer.
On 4th and 3.
That's right, 4th and 3. How about Alex Collins? Looks like he's dead to rights right there, and he's going to reverse field, go down the right sideline, and run this touchdown in from 17 yards. He's got 6 rush touchdowns in the last 7 games. Bengals still lead 24-17. Back to you guys down in Miami.
All right, a little bit closer now in Baltimore. What a pickup Collins has been for the Ravens. 2nd down and 3. It's Tolbert again, and he picks up the first down.
Back to the Ravens. John Harbaugh throwing caution to the wind to go for it on 4th and 3, not kick a field goal, not take the points, because there's still a lot of time on the clock there, but aggressive call and great results.
Bills have 117 yards rushing today. When they rush for 100 yards or more on the season, they're 7-2. Tolbert. And he gets to the 19-yard line. So Mike Tolbert, in his first year with Buffalo, I was saying he came over from Carolina, and Sean McDermott was looking to build a certain culture when he came here to Buffalo. Weeded out some of the players that didn't fit into that culture. Mike Tolbert, a guy he knew from Carolina, he said I knew his DNA. It's those types of guys that McDermott, Brandon Bean have tried to acquire to shape the culture that McDermott wants. And even though Tolbert hasn't done a lot on the field this year, just his presence in the locker room is certainly what McDermott and Bean have been looking for. This is Murphy on the carry, and Murphy dragged down by Mike Hull.
Well, going back to Mike Tolbert, he got to Carolina from his relationship with Ron Rivera with the San Diego Chargers. So players gravitate and they move with coaches sometimes around the league. And you're right, when you have a player who is a tough, hard-nosed player, is smart, does things the right way, you see him talking to Kelly Skipper, the running back coach there, that word gets out, and you want that guy as your backup fullback or your backup running back on your roster.
It's 3rd down and 3. Murphy slips 1 tackle, stretches forward, and he is a yard shy of a first down. Sean McDermott is keeping the offense on the field for the moment.
And this would have been one of those occasions where give me a measurement, but you clearly see where the ball is on the line, where the first down marker is, because you would want more time. They've got 14 seconds on the play clock, and Sean McDermott has walked down the line of scrimmage.
Appears to be going for it on 4th and 1. Last week in the 4th quarter, kicked a field goal on 4th and 1 against the Patriots. And now McDermott has called timeout.
Timeout. Buffalo, they're first. It's a 30-second timeout.
What do you do here, James? Put the points on the board?
Well, because then you make it a 3-score game. And
you have
take
to do it
back to 19. But he did a smart job in letting that play clock go all the way down before he was going to make that decision.
Just a reminder, no LaShawn McCoy here for the Bills. out for the rest of the game with an ankle injury, and now Stephen Hauschka will come on the field. This is the call to go up 3 scores.
Well, but you could do this 2 different ways. You could send the quarterback back out there. You could bark around. You could shift, and maybe you get the Dolphins to jump off sides and you pick up the first down in that manner. But then you'd have to use another timeout to get out there on the field. But you could take the delay a game because the 5 yards wouldn't make a lot of difference to Stephen Hauschka.
This is a 33-yard attempt. He's already 2 for 2 on the day, and make it 3 for 3 for Hauschka, and the big number there is 3. Now a 3-score game, 22-3 Buffalo. 17 years, 11 months, 23 days. Last time the Bills were in the playoffs, the 1999 season, but right now they have a 22-3 lead, and Cincinnati still continues to lead Baltimore. Those 2 scores hold up. The Bills are in. 11:41 to go, 4th quarter, with Hauschka kicking away to Jakeem Grant. Sonoris Perry back deep as well. And it will be a touchback. So the year was 1999. Last time the Bills were in the playoffs. Wade Phillips was the head coach for Buffalo. Doug Flutie, the starting quarterback. Price of gas was between $1.14, $1.48. Tom Brady still in his senior year at Michigan. And The Sopranos, it was the first season of The Sopranos. Anytime you get a shot of Bobby Bacala into an NFL game, you know you're winning big here.
If you're one of the Sopranos, you can still get gas at $1.14 a gallon.
Landry on the catch. Preston Brown pushes him out of bounds. That's the 6th catch for Landry today. Gain of 18. What have you thought of David Fales? Obviously, it's a little bit hard to evaluate. They have not been moving the ball too well against this Buffalo defense, but from some of the throws he's made, James, what have you seen?
Well, the arm is there, the poise in the pocket, because he's been under pressure a couple of times, and he hasn't lost it. He's had 2 balls that could have been intercepted, that weren't intercepted, but other than that, he's thrown the ball around the park pretty well.
Could be it for Jay Cutler. He said this week that he still loves playing football, but would not want to be a backup somewhere next year. You assume Ryan Tannehill will be the starter here in Miami. Will another team give Jay Cutler a chance to be a starter? At this point, doesn't seem likely, but he could have said that in the offseason as well when he thought he was going to the broadcast booth. If it is it for Jay, 12 NFL seasons. Bears all-time leader in passing yards and passing touchdowns. A 74-78 career record as a starter. Only made the playoffs 1 time in his career. It was 2010. Won a game with the Bears and then lost. So 1-1 playoff record for Cutler. And now Fales in the Dolphins looking at 3rd down and 9. Fales, and somehow he completes that pass to Kenny Stills.
There were a lot of defenders in that area, and there's a little bit of zip on that ball, but really it's about location because he pins it right in between a couple of defensive players. Everybody's sprawled out, guys falling on the ground left and right. Kenny Stills, nice job going down, getting the hands underneath the ball so that it doesn't ricochet off the ground.
A 16-yard pickup for Stills. 1st down and 10. There's a flag down. The pass is complete to Drake, but Jerry Hughes got tackled in the backfield. That's going to be a hold.
Holding, 62 offense, 10-yard penalty, still 1st down.
Back to New York. NFL Today update with JP and Boomer again.
Not so routine, huh, Boo?
Oh, what do you see this guy's Marcus Mariota tries to turn around and hand the ball off to Derrick Henry, something they've been doing really well all day long, and took it for granted. They fumbled the ball. This is Ndakwe. He is going to take this all the way back for a touchdown. That's the Jags' 7th defensive touchdown this year. Titans lead 15-10. Boy, what a game. Back to you guys in Miami.
Tennessee in a win and in situation for Buffalo fans. It's still 24-17 Bengals over the Ravens. Fails after the penalty to Landry. Landry gets by a couple of Bills defenders, and Landry picks up a Miami first down. A 23-yard gain for Landry. E.J. Gaines on the stop.
And Landry has been throwing these balls to the sideline, making sure that they're safe for him. But where he was tackled in the first half, breaking tackles in the second half, because he's like that running back that wants to carry the ball 35, 40 times a game. He wants to be targeted 10, 15, 20 times during the game, because if he likes, he gets stronger and stronger as the game goes on.
He just tied the franchise record for most catches in a season with 110, set by himself 2 years ago. So Landry continues to rewrite the record books here in Miami. Tied for the most catches in franchise history with 110, one more, and well, he'll still have the record. It'll just be updated with a new number. Another good drive being put together here by the Dolphins. They've got the ball at the Buffalo 24-yard line. Drake is wide open in the flat, makes the catch, gets inside the 15. Another Miami first down.
So we go back to the play where the Buffalo Bills try the two-point conversion. They don't get it. They do get the field goal. They stretch it back to 19. So there's comfort, but there's a little bit of anxiety. You can see it on the face of Sean McDermott because they're moving down the field on your defense. There he is trying to encourage them. Come on, let's make a play. And Tyrod Taylor trying to stay relaxed and be ready when he gets on the field.
You're looking up at the video board or the out-of-town scoreboard. 2 on the play clock. Fails to Stills at the 6. And Stills is stopped right there. Clock continues to tick with 7 minutes to go. A gain of 7 for Kenny Stills. Tyrod Taylor, 18-26, 196 yards and a touchdown pass. Also has 37 yards rushing. There's the out-of-town scoreboard. Bengals up by 7, late third quarter. Bales fires to Landry. He's got the record to 111. Ball came out. Picked up by Preston Brown. Preston Brown still going down the sideline. Bales is chasing Brown. The distance. Touchdown, Buffalo.
Turnover and a scoring play, so obviously it gets reviewed. There's no hurry up. You can't get out there and kick the field goal, rather the PAT. This will be reviewed. It looked like we're watching him knee down, anything down. Well, that's really close. Was the forearm down before the ball popped up and out of his hand? Was it starting to move? Because if there's any movement in this, then that ball would be out. It's starting to move before that ball is touched down or the forearm is touched down on the ground. And the officials are right there on top of it.
We are looking at the previous play.
And is there any part of his body that's touching the ball while he's out of bounds? That's another component of this play. You know, when kids play video games, you know what I do? I play the official. And they have so much that they have to consider as they're going to look at this.
Bills fans are hoping that they don't take another touchdown off the board. Last week, looked like Kelvin Benjamin scored, wiped out by Al Riveron back in New York. Right now, it's a 99-yard return for Preston Brown as the Bills try to get to the playoffs for the first time since 1999. But will it stand?
I will tell you this. The defensive players hope that he takes a while in reviewing this because they need to catch their breath, especially Preston Brown after going 99 yards and a stop and start 99-yard return. But like I said, that ball is starting to turn and come out of his hands. And maybe the best look, coming right into your living room. You're sitting there on the couch. You don't have to move back. He won't hit you. But you can see that ball start to move, and then that ball pops up as it hits the ground. And you've got to have enough evidence to overturn this call, because you let it stand on the field as a return and a touchdown going the opposite direction.
So it's just Jeff Triplett listening to Al Riveron back in New York. Al Riveron can communicate with Triplett, but his crew on the field called it a fumble and a touchdown.
And that's also the record breaker for Jarvis Landry on that catch. That's catch 111, correct?
Yes. All right, it appears we have a decision.
After review, the ruling on the field is changed. The runner is out of bounds and touching the ball when it is loose at the half-yard line. Therefore, it is down at the half-yard line. It'll be 3rd and goal at the half. Miami's ball. Reset the game clock to 6:26.
That was the other component. Remember I said if he's touching the ball and he's out of bounds? That play is dead. The Buffalo Bills, when they heard that, they thought that they still had possession of the ball.
Preston Brown just danced that entire announcement, but it was Jeff Triplett saying it's not a touchdown. I mean, he can't make this up. This is while Triplett is saying you did not score. It's quite a dance, almost as good as yours in the Sun Bowl 40 years ago.
Almost.
But now you got to go back out there and play defense, Preston Brown. And it is a first down. It's 1st and goal for Miami. You can't make it up. You just can't. 6:26 to go. So the Bills thought they had another touchdown. 2nd straight week they've had a TD taken off the board. Keep this in mind. Miami has 3 rushing touchdowns the entire season. Here's Landry. And he's in. Touchdown, Miami. And now extracurricular and the flags fly.
Landry went in there late, and it looked like he headbutted one of the Buffalo Bills.
Leonard Johnson and Landry mixed it up 2 weeks ago with Buffalo a bunch, both involved in this skirmish.
Sean McDermott's out on the field trying to get his players to separate.
Kenyon Drake just threw a Bills helmet across the field.
Not good.
And this is ugly in South Florida.
We're going to have possibly some ejections after this, because that was quite the skirmish after it was over. Because he's close, and the Buffalo Bills are trying to knock him backwards, which is okay. And see, when he goes in there and headbutts Poyer, that kind of really gets it restarted. And then takes a jab at him.
And then Kenyon Drake, just inexcusable to do this. I believe that's Ryan Davis's helmet. Jarvis Landry going to the locker room. Possible he's been ejected as Jeff Triplett tries to sort this out.
Normally you'd hear kids at the park say, I'm going to take my ball and I'm going to go home.
Now, there was a lot of pushing and shoving 2 weeks ago in Buffalo. Several unsportsmanlike conduct penalties were called. And now the penalty markers are down here again. We got hats on the field. We got helmets thrown. AFC East rivals, the Bills and Dolphins.
And the rivalry is still intense, because there's New England and there's the other 3 teams who are kind of clawing and scratching to try and get up and be number 2.
And there's as you can see, a lot of Bills fans that are here in South Florida making some noise. Watch Kenyon Drake, bottom of the pile, tangled up with it's tough to see. I think maybe Ryan Davis.
And that's Ryan Davis's helmet
Yep.
that he collected there. You know, normally after the game, these guys want to exchange jerseys. Maybe middle of the game, trying to exchange helmets. Then he threw it toward the sideline as a souvenir, right? Probably not.
There are multiple fouls on this play. Personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Buffalo. Number 64 and number 72. Personal foul. Miami. Unnecessary roughness. Number 14. Number 10. Number 32. And number 24. The fouls by number 14 and number 64 earned them disqualification from the game. After everything is over, number 14 is also disqualified for disrespecting the official. That 15-yard penalty will be assessed on the kickoff. That 14 was Miami.
There's a lot to sort out there. The penalties that they said were on Buffalo were on two offensive players, Richie Incognito and Ryan Groy, which doesn't make any sense unless they came off the sideline. And for Miami, he said number 24 was one of the guilty parties, and Miami doesn't have a number 24.
And Richie Incognito is jogging down toward the officials.
Yeah, he wants to see
tell them it wasn't me.
Right. Incognito's with the officials saying, I've got a hat on. I'm not on the field.
He said, I know it caused a lot of trouble when I was here, but it wasn't me this time.
So Jeff Triplett will have to sort this out. It does appear that Landry has definitely been ejected.
So at the bottom of the pile where Kenyon Drake is, there's number 56. It's kind of working his face.
The correction on the number that disqualified, number 64 was Miami instead of Buffalo on the second disqualification. We are reviewing the previous play.
All right, so they have to go and look.
Well, no, you've got to review it to see if he scored. So you're not going to review penalties.
I think they have to take a look at the numbers. He's very confused by who committed these fouls. I agree. They have to confirm that it's a touchdown. That is certainly one of the things. But they can't say that. I mean, they don't have a number 24, Miami. So he's got to figure out who committed these fouls. I mean, they said that Richie Incognito was ejected. Yeah. He was sitting on the bench. So they got to get this straight.
And then he said 64 of the Dolphins. He's a backup offensive lineman who has not been in the game yet, and he worked up a sweat.
Yeah, that's Jake Brendel. First, let's take a look at the touchdown. Make sure Landry gets in. It was called a touchdown on the field.
He stuck the ball out there with his left arm, so I think he did break the plane. See, the ball's right there. Nice awareness to be able to do that when he's getting held up in the pile.
And I don't see 64 from Miami on the field for this play.
There's the ball being stuck out. There it is, right there, right on the left elbow of Pouncey. Stuck past the goal line, so we have that done. But in terms of number 64 being involved in the skirmish, 64 was not on the field in the white or the aqua.
I don't think our director, Andy Goldberg, thought before the game he'd have a split screen of Incognito and Brendel, but that's exactly what we have with 6:16 to go.
Jeff Triplett would have been a lot better off saying there was a big old fight. Kick one guy out the game, and plus there's an extra penalty against him.
Tyrod Taylor has not moved from that position. Keeping cool on the Bills bench.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. The two players being disqualified are number 14 and number 32 of Miami.
So Landry and Drake are ejected. No one on Buffalo has been ejected. Meanwhile, while all this is going on, they're still playing football in Baltimore. The Ravens now trail 24-20. That game is in the fourth quarter, and with the Chargers out to such a big lead, it appears for the Bills they need to win, and the Baltimore loss. That's their way into the playoffs. There's Drake on his way into the Miami locker room. Now Miami will go for 2. Try to cut it down to 11 points. Touchdown, 2-point conversion, and field goal. Miami is 1 for 1 on 2-point conversions this year, but the man who converted that 2-point conversion was Drake, who's now leaving the field.
And how often has David Fales run a 2-point play in practice for the Miami Dolphins? Probably watched Jay Cutler and Matt Moore do it several times.
So a long stoppage in play, and we're finally set to resume the 2-point attempt for Fales and the Dolphins. Denoris Perry joins Fales in the backfield. Rolling right, throws on the run, incomplete. So it stays 22-9. Will Miami onside? Find out when we come back. Back in Miami, as Kyle Williams has a rushing touchdown today. Now, because of the penalties, Miami has to kick off from the 20-yard line. So would you still attempt an onside kick here, James?
Well, the last time they did, they used their punter, Matt Houck, who's now jogging off the field. They're trying to figure out exactly what they want to do. But no, I wouldn't try an onside kick from here. You give the Bills the ball at the 30-yard line, maybe a chip shot field goal range.
Yeah, you do have 3 timeouts, 6:16 to go. And Parkey will kick it away to Brandon Tate, who awaits it at his own 13. And Tate out of bounds, shy of the 35-yard line with 6:10 to go. It's been 25 minutes real time since the last time the Bills were on offense. Long drive by Miami, then of course all the madness with the penalties they had to sort out. So let's see how the Bills respond with 6:10 to play.
But they need a yard. They've got Kyle Williams ready.
This is Tolbert on the carry and strung down by Mike Hull.
That was so close. Basic power play. You're pulling the off guard, bringing them around. And Tolbert almost got through that hole, and the Miami Dolphins are going to use their timeouts.
Timeout by the Dolphins. They have 2 remaining.
180.
2nd down and 8 for the Bills. A play fake, and Taylor runs right into Cameron Malvo. And Adam Gase will call his 2nd timeout. Clock is still running, but Gase did call timeout. It'll be 3rd down and long. Another reminder, no LaShawn McCoy for the Bills. Out for the rest of the game with an ankle injury. Here it is if you missed it.
Kind of took the wind out of the sail of the Buffalo Bills. You can see the frustration on the face of LaShawn McCoy. And Yeah, there's pain in the ankle, but there's more pain because you can't be there to help your team.
So it's 3rd down and 16 after that last play. Miami has 1 timeout remaining. Bills were averaging 5.6 yards per play with McCoy. They've gone 4.2 yards per play without him. On 3rd and 16, that is Clay, who's well short of a first down. Tackled at the 35 by Hull. So Colton Schmidt will come out. And Adam Gase does not call his timeout here. He has 1 to go.
So you let this play clock tick down as close to 0 as you possibly can. Probably want to get this punt off with about 4 seconds to go.
And the Bills take a delay of game.
Delay of game, offense.
So Schmidt will now await the snap. 5:13 to go. This is his 4th punt of the game. Miami looks to be sending the house. Grant back deep, but everyone else appears to be coming.
Punt this ball out of bounds. You do not let Grant even return it.
Drifting to the sideline, but he's inbounds from the 22. Nobody back to block for him, and he's tackled at the 31-yard line. All right, so here is a final score from Los Angeles, and the Chargers have won, which means, James, if you want, you can cross out that bottom scenario. There's only one way for the Bills to get in now, and that is to win and for Baltimore to lose. The Ravens still down by 4, 24-20 in the 4th quarter. Bills got to take care of business here, 22-9 with 4:50 to go. Fails to Perry. Hit right away by Milano and spun down at the 34-yard line.
Andy kept him in bounds, which keeps the clock running.
Bills owner Terry Pegula has made his way down to the field, hoping to celebrate a playoff spot with his team. Fails, and Kenny Stills was not looking. Incomplete. 3rd down and 7. If the Bills win, Sean McDermott would be just the 5th Bills head coach with a winning record in his first season. The last Bills coach to do that was Mike Mularkey in 2004. It's also the last time the Bills played a meaningful Week 17 game with Mularkey in 04, losing to the Steelers. Trying to hold on here against the Dolphins. It's 3rd and 7. Bales in trouble. Bales throws as he's hit and completes it to Grant, and Grant is able to get the first down. Well, credit to David Bales for hanging tough. A gain of 9.
He would walk by Grant on the field during pregame warmups, 5'7", 175, 80, 90 pounds. But at Texas Tech, the all-time leading receiver in Texas Tech history, he knows how to run after the catch.
But the clock continues to tick inside 4 minutes to go, and Jerry Hughes jumps offside. Or did someone in Miami move?
False start, number 71, offense. It's a 5-yard penalty.
That's Zach Stirrup,
First down.
starting his first NFL game for the injured Laramie Tunsil.
And they should wind the clock here. This penalty should not stop the clock for the Miami Dolphins.
You're right. But it stopped. 1st and 15. Play is made by Smith. But let's go back to New York, an NFL Today update with JB and Boomer.
Baltimore trying to secure the berth in the postseason.
JB certainly hasn't been pretty. Joe Flacco to Mike Wallace, 6-yard TD pass. Extra point is good. The Ravens now take the lead 27-24, 8:48 left in the game. Back to you guys in Miami.
All right, not the update Bills fans we're looking for as Baltimore has taken the lead. Meanwhile, 3:15 and counting to go. Miami has the ball at the Buffalo 43-yard line. Fails to Smith again. And another Miami first down. A gain of 13.
Unless the Bills change up their defense, you're going to take these little plays underneath where the defense is so relaxed and so loose. But as you get closer to the goal line, those safeties are going to creep up a little bit.
Fails to Smith again, out of bounds at the 29-yard line. 2:28 to go.
Getting a couple of substitutions by the Buffalo Bills on their defensive front guys to get in and rush the passer. When you have those substitutions, if you're one of the safeties, you should count. Make sure you only got 11 guys out there. You don't want that 12th man out there in formation.
Bales has completed 15 of his last 17 for 122 yards. And he completes another to Devontae Parker. And Parker lost the ball coming out, but it's scooped up by his teammate, Sonoris Perry. Nearly a turnover by Devontae Parker.
And about 15 seconds early, because under 2 minutes, Devontae Parker is the only one who can recover that and advance it. So you pick up a couple extra yards on that fumble.
And just so you know, assuming our game ends before the Ravens-Bengals game, we will take you to Baltimore to watch the conclusion of the Bengals and the Ravens. Right now, first and goal for Miami from the 10.
Parker one-on-one down at the bottom of the screen.
And Buffalo calls timeout.
Timeout, Buffalo.
That timeout was a more let's catch our breath timeout, because you could see from the missed tackles, the lack of pass rush, that the Buffalo Bills had gotten a little bit gassed on this last drive.
Bills owner Terry Pagula pacing on the Buffalo sideline. Keeping one eye on the field here in Miami and another eye up on the scoreboard.
You know, we feel like we've had a long game with some of the delays and all that, but that Baltimore-Cincinnati game is about 5 or 6 minutes on the clock behind our game.
Yeah.
So there's going to be some time for the Buffalo Bills. They can take care of business here where they're going to go in the locker room and they're going to be gathered around the big screen in the locker room.
8:48 to go. You will see Cincinnati and Baltimore with bonus coverage here on CBS when we're done in Miami. Following the Bills timeout, first and goal. Bales gets rid of it, and it's caught by Derby, the tight end, and he takes the ball all the way down to the 1. A.J. Derby with his first catch of the game, and we've hit the 2-minute warning. First and goal for Miami when we come back. 2 minutes to go here in Miami. Buffalo leads 22-9. It's first and goal, or second and goal rather, for the Dolphins. Look at the updated playoff picture. The Tennessee Titans just defeated the Jaguars, so Tennessee is in, which means there's one wild card spot left. It's either Baltimore or Buffalo. On second and goal, Bales will walk it in himself for the touchdown. First rushing touchdown of the season and of the career for David Bales. It's 22-15. So you go for one if you're Adam Gase.
Correct.
And then you try to get an onside kick, which is something Miami has had a lot of success doing this year.
And you're just going all out for the Buffalo Bills. You're trying to stop the running back, but you've got to remember, this is a read option. They're in that position where he does a great job reading the end man on the offensive line, and when he crashes down, pull the ball out and walk into the end zone.
Amazingly, just the 4th rushing touchdown of the season for the Miami Dolphins, and the first by someone other than Kenyon Drake. Extra point by Parkey is good. 22-16. For those of you expecting to see 60 minutes, you're watching the NFL on CBS, the Bills and the Dolphins with James Lofton. I'm Andrew Catalan. 60 minutes will be seen in its entirety immediately following this game, except on the West Coast. The Dolphins have recovered a league-best 3 onside kicks this year, including 2 weeks ago against Buffalo. Preston Brown could not get a handle on this one, and the punter, Hawk, recovered it. Now Miami sends out both the punter and the kicker for their onside kicks to try to keep you guessing as to who's going to kick it. It's generally Parkey, but you never know with Darren Rizzi, the special teams coordinator. Can they recover another?
5 up top on the top of the screen.
It is Parkey to kick it to the right side, bounces up, and the ball is still loose. There is a flag down. McCain comes away from the pile with the football, but let's see what the flag is.
The Buffalo Bills are hoping the Miami Dolphins were offsides.
That's what Mike Tolbert is indicating.
Offside, receiving team, number 80. That penalty is declined.
Stepped across the line.
Wow. First down, Miami.
It's against Buffalo. So for the 4th time this year, Miami recovers an onside kick. Top of your screen, it looked like Charles Clay was the one who jumped. And it's Bobby McCain who came away with it. So Miami has 1 timeout to go, 1:52 on the clock. David Fales has thrown for 257 yards on the day, trying to add to his total. Fales over the middle, caught by Devontae Parker. Parker across the 45 for a gain of 9.
4-yard pass, 5 yards after the catch. Just look at how much faster the Miami Dolphin receivers and runners look when they have the ball in their hands.
2nd and 1. Fales just has to throw this one away. The pressure was coming from Matt Milano.
4-down territory on each and every play. You have to keep that in mind. So the Buffalo Bills trying to get a negative play there on 2nd down to push them back into a longer down and distance situation.
You can see on the bottom of your screen, we're just showing you the Baltimore-Cincinnati score in real time. 3:15 to go. Ravens still lead by 3. 3rd and 1 for Miami. And the first down is picked up by Sonoris Perry. A gain of 5 into Buffalo territory. And now Perry hobbles off the field.
Yeah, because he can't go down. You would have to use your timeout. You only have one of those for an injury. So nice job by Perry understanding the situation and getting off the football field.
Here comes Hughes, and Fales gets away. Fales will run out of bounds. Oh, Jerry Hughes had a golden opportunity, but Fales was able to escape.
You're getting a little fatigued. You beat the left tackle, but you can't pull Fales down. It's not like Fales is 6'5", 250 pounds, and you've got guys down the field who are open and waving their hands around. But that's way on the other side when Fales was forced out to his left.
56 seconds to go. Fales fires, intercepted! Jordan Poyer! His 5th of the season! Dolphins. Third straight game, Jordan Poyer has an interception. Miami only has one timeout, so the Bills can take a knee and go on to win this game.
Just an overthrow by Fales. You see him starting to look to his right, trying to move the safeties. There's not a Dolphin inside. The receiver broke to the outside. That ball was thrown to the inside. Nice, easy pickoff for Poyer, but nervous time now starts for the Buffalo Bills as they wrap up this game, and they wonder what's going to happen at the end of the Cincinnati-Baltimore game.
So the Bills do their part. They go to 9-7. Kyle Williams, he scored the game-winning touchdown today, didn't he? Who would have guessed that? Now, will it be enough for Buffalo to get in the playoffs? They need the Bengals to come back and beat the Ravens. You can see bottom of your screen, 2:37 to go, now 2:43. Bonus coverage coming up. Cincinnati has the ball, down by 3. And now those Bills will run into the locker room to watch the end of the game in Baltimore, just like you will. Buffalo wins 22-16. Let's go to New York and James Brown.